We're on. We're on. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah. So
already the worst podcast ever.
already the worst. What is this podcast
that we've ever done?
I'm calling it podcast number 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
how'd you come up with that name?
I deliberated on that for a long time, and I think it's the second cup of coffee has kicked in, and the caffeine is it's working wonders on my creative side.
I like it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Just introduce yourself.
My name's Laurence the Taffmeister Griffiths.
No. So we're going to start from now.
Yeah. You can start from now.
And then
Laurence the Taffmeister.
Well, it's Taff. It's original. It's an original surname for a Welshman, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, the river.
I've only just learnt to call you Laurence in the last maybe year because of no one else knows you here as Taff.
Well, there's about 3 people that call me Laurence. You're one of them, my girlfriend, and my mother.
so you're a woman.
Is what he's saying. Is what I'm saying.
Or I'm that close to him, you know?
Yeah. What you've been near his vagina. Anyway, no, sorry.
His vagina?
No, vagina.
And you are?
Vagina.
I am Jack Edwards.
No middle name.
No, I've got middle names, but
No wrestler fighter name.
do you know what? I don't know what my fighter name would be. It wouldn't be. You've got to kind of make it yourself. And
I wonder that. I was watching an MMA fight on YouTube earlier, and the guy introduced it, and he just dragged out the first name, and then really dragged out the second name. I think you've got to have. You've got to kind of. Longer than that, like twice as long.
my favourite. Some of my favourites are LeVar Johnson. So his fighter name is Big. So it's LeVar Big Johnson, which is wicked.
Big Johnson.
Yeah, you know, which is it's like there's a Japanese guy that's like Yakiyama or something like that, and he's just called himself Sexy Yama, like, which is wicked.
Yeah.
Sexy Yama.
Just quickly, this is slightly off topic, but back to Johnson. You know, President Lyndon Johnson. Apparently, he had a massive dick, and would just call people around or whatever. The president of Japan come over to the office and just be naked, come for a swim. Yeah, just negotiate with his dick out, and was a machine.
And there's the explicit rating on iTunes.
But if he's in
there we go. Sorry.
But if he's in Japan as well, with his dick out, he's going to be. It's going to be a monster. It's going to be a monster.
I don't think he was roaming the streets. I think it was it was also quickly again really off topic. But Winston Churchill was also a naturist and used to just be naked in the Houses of Parliament all the time. People would knock on the door. Winston Churchill looking like a big baby. Sorry, I'm Tom. By the way, I'm
Just
Tom.
the man that's out behind the scenes making it all work.
Yeah.
What's your
Tom
what's your
Majestic.
fighter name, Tom?
When I was a kid, I used to call myself the Tominator.
The Tominator.
Yeah, which I thought was sweet. Or Robo-Tom, which isn't quite. They're not.
I quite like Robo-Tom.
Robo-Tom is quite good.
But just, I think Tom Majestic Pryle, because if you could see Tom right now, he's wearing a beautiful purple kind of 80s jumper
I don't even know
with
what it
a
looks
big
like.
M
It looks like something that's.
and the word majestic,
slippery was like, that's
and the word majestic on it.
You have to put a photo up of that. I can't explain that.
Yeah, we will. It's wicked. It's one of Tom's many great jumpers. Going back to why you were watching an MMA clip.
Yeah.
Why were you watching an MMA clip?
Why was I watching an MMA clip? So I do jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. If we want to clap. Apparently, I'm not talking into the mic.
Yeah.
So a mate of mine recently trained up a friend of his for an MMA fight, and he said he just wants another guy to spar with, kind of, you know, to work on his ground game and do those various bits and pieces. So I was doing a bit of research on this one guy, and I watched one fight of his, and now I'm an expert in his game, and I'm really good. But that's something new for me. You know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 5.5 years, and like I'm a brown belt, or recently a brown belt.
Why did you start doing jiu-jitsu?
Why did I start doing jiu-jitsu?
Sorry, I didn't even think about that. Sorry.
like a lot of people watching cage fighting, watching MMA.
Yeah.
At Leicester University, where myself and Jack reigned, if you want to call it that. No, that would be a lie. Just watching the UFC with mates, and then there was Leicester Shoot Fighters is the gym in Leicester, And when I did, well, after towards the end of my degree, I was like, do you know what? I want to give it a go. The rugby season finished, and kind of did a couple of months of like no-gi grappling there, and then kind of left Leicester, moved to London, and carried on playing rugby for a little bit. But then goes, do you know what? I'm not really enjoying it as much as more, and then just
a lot of fighting rugby.
Well, yeah, you've got to get up. There's, you've got to get up, and you're not allowed to go for the neck and go to break the arm. I mean, I'm sure people do a little bit, but
I do wonder though if I have played rugby since, but it was like one game or 2 games in the last 5.5 years. But if I went back into it properly, if how it would translate the jiu-jitsu, and if I see myself reaching for people's necks and arms.
Yeah, I think, well, people like, if you look at NFL stars, there's a few like ex-NFL guys that have gone into MMA and from their like pure athleticism and stuff. They're really, and their strength, because NFL guys are really strong. Yeah, but I mean, it does translate, that kind of, that physicality does translate, and whether or not going back, because you can't really hold. I think if you saw an opportunity, it would be difficult for you not to try and manipulate. Because you want to win. I've seen you. You don't. You like winning. You're a competitive guy. You're probably one of the most in actual competition. Like, not saying competitive as in like you've always got to have the last word or something like that. But you go into big competitions. I've seen you in jiu-jitsu competitions. You've won some. You've got some golds. I've
lost some as well.
You've lost some, but that's the nature of it. I mean, and you're going up against people that could potentially be the best in the world.
Sorry, when you lose a fight, do you think like outside afterwards? Do you feel? How do you feel like that? Do you feel resentment? How do you feel when you have that one-on-one moment with someone, and then you
You get to know people very well when you fight someone one-on-one.
Yeah.
And then when you come off the mat, and you see those people, even though you may have said about 4 words to each other in that fight, or you wouldn't speak to each other in the fight at all, really.
Just kiss.
You haven't just kiss and cuddle. Well, after the fight, then you do. It's kind of hard to explain. You do form a bond with someone.
That's a nice idea, yeah. Because that reminds me of the Hay and what's the guy
David Hay.
Chisora.
Yeah, that fight, and they were smacked afterwards, and they said, "No, he's different, man. I like him now." Whatever. After the fight, they came out and said that that was a fight based on smack talk, and then afterwards they said, "Oh, no."
Smack talk, some spitting, and a glass being broken over someone's head. I mean, they took that. They took that to a different level.
It's disgraceful. That part was disgraceful, but just afterwards they were like, they totally changed. I like him now.
From what I've seen from sport jiu-jitsu, because I mean, I've trained no-gi jiu-jitsu for a while. At an MMA gym. I've done a little bit of gi, and I'm going to start training at Laurence's gym.
The gym I train at, I don't know the gym.
Well, yeah. And there's like a different. It's weird because when I saw you in a couple of the competitions you've been to, one, oddly, a lot of the people in your weight category, which is like the highest weight category, isn't it? You're heavyweight.
Super heavy, so it's under 100 kilos. Then you do have ultra heavy.
There's a lot of Welsh guys.
Was there really?
Yeah. I remember being just you breed them big.
Nowhere.
Yeah, and then they're big guys, but so you had that Welsh kind of camaraderie, and because the guy that, and I don't want to. I don't want to bring up a loss before I bring up a win. But the last one we went to, when you got caught with that Kimura, that guy was Welsh.
No, he's Irish.
He's Irish. Well, he's Celt. Yeah. He wasn't as big as you, but I thought he was Welsh.
He's really good.
Yeah,
he's really good. But
he's gone to the Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, no, he won it. He won that. So he won the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials, the brown and black belt division, the London category. What's his name? It's Chris. I forget his second name.
I've got some photos of the match.
Yeah, but he's but that's a good example. I think, Tommy, you're asking about how do you get on with a lot of people. That's the only interaction I've fought him about 3 or 4 times since back from blue belt, and every time unfortunately he's beaten me. But then you can, after that fight, you can chat to him, how you doing, that kind of thing, and it's cool.
Do you I guess it's like everything, it's like how much do you feel is the confidence plays a part in something? Do you know what I mean? It's like if you didn't have a prior with that person, you'd go into that fight with a different mentality. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have like, I just went, it's shooting. The most
You should probably also introduce yourself because
I did it. I'm Tom. I don't know what to say about that. I'm here. I'm recording this. I was shooting. I went to clay pigeon shooting a couple of weeks ago, and that was and like the attitude that I was Sam Denon. It was competitive, and the attitude that I went in with that. It completely, like, I went first. I went shot first, did quite well, and that completely affected the rest. I think that completely affected the rest of the time, and I feel like that must be such a big part of that. I mean, you can see it in boxing matches again. The pre-match thing is a huge, part of that competition. And how do you feel about how do you approach that?
The confidence. I think you have to believe that you can win.
Yeah.
If you don't believe you can win, then you've lost before you go on there. But the interesting thing though is you go out there with the belief that you can win, although you don't try to win, which can sound kind of counterintuitive to a lot of people, because if you go into I've got to win, what you're thinking about is the end result and not the process.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is try to kind of build into my game in the last kind of couple of years is, if I'm in a certain position, it's right. I've got to get this grip. I've got to move my hips to the left. I've got to get the underhook, which none of that may make sense to anyone at all. But it's thinking about the steps that you've got to do to complete the move to get a better position or score points. And the fights where I've thought about I've just got to sweep or I've got to score. It's you're thinking about the result rather than the process. So that's what I mean about not trying to win.
That's what I like about jiu-jitsu, is that it is. Do you know Drysdale? Robert Drysdale, one of the most famous jiu-jitsu guys. He had a really nice way of explaining it as that it is that step by step. So when you're talking about kind of MMA or boxing or something, with stand-up fighting, something can just happen and it can end a match. You can get caught with an overhand right by someone who is technically much worse than you. If you just are asleep on your feet for a second, or you don't see something coming, or you're cocky, we can look at Alistair Overeem versus Bigfoot Silva. Alistair Overeem was one of the most hyped people to come into MMA, and he was cocky. He was really cocky in that fight. He dropped his hands, and he started to move on the heels of his feet rather than the balls of his feet, because he just thought, this guy can't beat me, and he got knocked out spectacularly. He really badly knocked out. But in jiu-jitsu, that almost can't happen. If you do that stage by stage, pass the guard, get to side mount, or get the underhook, then you get to the next part. And if you do everything correctly, Robert Drysdale said, if you do every stage correctly, there is no way that someone can stop you. That's what you've got to do, is just do every little bit and break it down into a chain. And if you watch some of the best MMA guys, when they actually do their jiu-jitsu, Damian Maia. So when he started to try and box for about 4 matches, he got beat up, and so he's gone back to his jiu-jitsu, and he's one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. And he just doesn't let the guy go. He sticks to them like glue, and there's nothing anyone can do about it, because he's just going step by step, taking his time, breathing, being calm. That's what I like about jiu-jitsu, is that if you learn the steps like you said, then you will win.
You just follow the process, and I think that's interesting. If you look,
I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Yeah.
If you compare it as a fighting art, someone told me something earlier. Jiu-jitsu is a sport when you choke someone out and they tap. It's a martial art when they stop tapping.
All right.
I thought I could throw that in there.
No, that's wicked. There's a t-shirt right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely. What I was going to say is that if we're looking at it as a fighting art or a fighting sport, martial art, whatever you want to term it, then that process is what makes it really effective. If you then look at BJJ compared to MMA in terms of a spectator sport, I think one of the struggles with BJJ is because you don't have that unpredictability. Whereas with MMA, I think there's very few sports. I think it can happen in boxing, even then though it doesn't happen as much in boxing or kickboxing.
What doesn't?
the knockout, that completely, that one lucky shot that can really kind of change things. Most other sports,
which is what a lot of people are there to see as well. People boo when it goes to the floor.
It makes me mad because I actually get bored when it's that. If people are doing too much stand up, and you know that the guy, because I like MMA and I know a lot about the guys that fight. And if I'm seeing two people, even if they've got fantastic boxing skills, but a lot of them don't have that one punch knockout power.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it can go on for a long time. And maybe because I'm not as familiar with boxing or striking, I've done some striking, but not to a good level. When it goes to the floor, I love it because I really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I will be excited when I see, like, if I see someone with a really active guard, and someone's really trying, even if they're not getting on it, if they're constantly dangerous from their guard, I love that.
Yeah.
But you'll get everyone else is booing. And that winds me up a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're probably the same people that are shouting helpful things like "punch him,
hit him in the face,
knock him out."
Win the fight.
Yeah, basically.
It's effective though, and that power they have over someone, if you can get that control, and
what is effective?
That just if you can take someone down, use a top game, use grappling, jiu-jitsu.
It's frustrating. Look at John Fitch. I mean, he's been dropped now, and he was one of the most boring people to watch, but he won.
Yeah.
He won all the time because he just got people to the ground and he just stopped them from doing anything. He might have not tapped them out, but they just didn't do anything.
It's effective.
It's like being cheesy in Street Fighter. It's like
pretty much just cornering someone.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone hasn't ever tried. Did you go to a Brazilian Jiu-jitsu lesson and just even if it's just for once, and just do one or two sparring sessions with guys that have been doing it for a long time? And if you're a big guy, try someone who's lighter than you, and you will be amazed at the control that some people can have over you.
When was your first lesson?
My first lesson. Oh God, was
or where,
I don't know, but
where,
it was.
Where, more importantly, is what I meant to ask.
Was with you. That my first ever proper lesson was at the Vi Academy where you train now.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything, and then then I went and trained Nogi around the corner from where I live in Hither Green, and a place called Pound for Pound, and the first guy that they put me up against is a semi-professional MMA fighter in the 85 kilo, and I'm like 73 kilos or something, and he was good, and his brother was the teacher. Nice. So this guy had done ground game and he was about 6'4", and I'm 6 foot if I wear shoes, and
Cuban heels.
Yeah, and I just. He was really nice though. He knew that there was no point in trying to armbar me or choke me out or anything, but he totally dominated me, and I was just laughing. I loved it. It was excellent because I don't know, something. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed just being just completely helpless, and I was trying everything. I didn't really know much, but I knew that I wanted. Don't be on the bottom, or don't give up your back, or don't get choked out, something like that. And it was just with the ease that he could manipulate me and shut me down. I know you're giggling, but it's when you watch people that don't understand, or you see
manipulate me.
You've got guys with their legs wrapped around each other and stuff like that. It looks funny, but then get put in that situation, and it can be terrifying the way that.
I try quite hard not to get put in that position most of my life.
Yeah, well that's the essence actually of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You didn't find it frustrating then or suffocating. You can't actually.
No, because I knew that if I wanted to be him, and I was just I was laughing because I was like, this is the kind of control that you can have over someone. I can't wait until I'm there. I can't wait until I was laughing because I was just like, I've taken the first step and I love it. So there's something in my head saying, well, I'm definitely coming back, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be at that level. So I was just enjoying all of it. Every one guy told me that after he'd submitted me for maybe the 10th time in 4 minutes, I was still smiling, and he was just like, that's it's good that you're smiling because you're obviously viewing it as every submission is a learning curve, and every time that I got like armbarred,
Yeah.
my knowledge about where my arms were would be better, and I wouldn't put out a straight arm or anything like that anymore. I mean, that's because I've been caught in it over and over again, and so now it's more difficult to get that.
Because this is resting on the thing.
Getting quite angry, smashed.
Yeah.
The Omni,
But, you know,
the Omni mic.
I just it's just one of those things. I just really enjoyed it, and you obviously do. Like it's a huge part of your life, and it kind of almost defines some of you now.
It's such an addiction, and you said something about having the control over another person, and for a lot of people, I think that can sound a little bit like
a little bit rapey.
a little bit rapey, bit of S&M.
Yeah.
Although you don't see it that way. You don't see.
No, of course not. I mean,
It's not an aggressive. Or I can kind of control a person. If anything, it takes you away from that kind of aggressive nature. Whether if you ever in a kind of confrontation. It's I think because you know that, and this may sound arrogant like to a lot of people when you say you can have that control over someone. If someone comes into a class and has never done jiu-jitsu, it really is it's amazing. Then that's when you really realise how effective you are. If I'm sparring against, say, another brown belt, then that's going to be, I struggle, he sweeps me, I sweep him, or he taps me out. It's not until you go with someone that's just come off the street that you realise actually how effective it is. So when you do face a situation of confrontation, you don't need to kind of bring it up a level. You don't need to be aggressive. You're a lot more relaxed. It just gets rid of that ego.
When you say that when on the street you don't need to be aggressive, remember when your bike got stolen? And had you caught that man, would you have been calm and collected with your jiu-jitsu on him, or would you have been aggressive?
That's a very good question. So Tom, do you know this story?
No.
So when Jack was we were doing a bit of gi training in that at the Trojans gym, just sparring there, and there's a nice dahlia on the corner from here, that little Italian place, and we went in, just got some food, leaned my bike up against the window, and I literally looked over I was watching the bike because I didn't lock it up, being a little bit lazy, looked over my shoulder, I said I'll have this to the lady behind the counter, turned around 10 seconds later, the bike was gone.
Welcome to London.
Welcome to London, yeah. So I run out, panicked, look left, look right, run to the corner. I could see some guy just pedaling away. Right, Jack, threw my backpack off. I had flip-flops on, and so I sprinted down the road about 200 yards. I kicked them off bare feet. So I ran down there, and the guy was a little bit too far away. He got away, whatever. And what Jack said is actually, you're probably quite lucky you didn't catch him because you don't know what you're going to do. Yeah. And you're going to play it in
I've never really seen you that angry, and because obviously I haven't seen you, I don't think I've seen you that angry really, and you were angry then. And to paint a picture, how tall are you?
Like 6'2" and pushing 6'3".
Yeah, about 6'3", 98 kilos.
Yeah, 98 kilos.
Sprinting, barefoot, growling, bearded.
A little bit of a moment that guy on the bike was like, shit.
I don't think he saw me. He was that far away from me. I'd like to think to myself that I'd caught him, or as I got near him, I would have said, "Look, mate, just let go and run away." And I would have been that calm. You just don't know what's going to happen. So actually, I was a couple of years back. After I started jiu-jitsu, I was in a Sainsbury's somewhere, and like a Saturday night, it literally popped out. If I was just chilling out at home, popped out to grab some stuff, and some guy was like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" Yeah. And I kind of laughed, thought, what's he doing? He said, "Oh, what the fuck are you looking at?" And I thought, okay. So I kind of turned round. Have you ever heard of it called the fence? No. I think it's called the fence. So what it is, you just kind of turn into a boxer stance, and you just kind of put your arm out at arm's length, kind of just in front of the guy's chest. Yeah. And the idea is that if they kind of keep coming towards you, you kind of defend. You can control that distance, but you're lining them up for a punch as well at the same time.
Did I tell you about that from Wing Chun?
I don't know.
So you line up the V and then you can strike. So you give them one chance if they touch the hand. If their chest touches the hand, you push and you say back off. Yeah. And then if it touches again, as soon as the chest touches your hand, the V that you've made with your hand is just the line up to knock them out.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, because I've learnt that in
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been.
It's more of a self-defence.
But that was a situation where I did kind of calmly said, you know, look, mate, you better fuck off, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then his mate came in and kind of went away. So that was one of the.
You could have right then. You should have said his mate came in, and then I took them both out.
I'm at them all.
A whirlwind attacked.
Yeah.
But that's a different situation when someone's coming onto you. If like with the bike situation, you start to panic, you run, then in the heat of the moment you don't know what's going to happen. But that's the only kind of example I've got of. I thought I kind of dealt with it quite calmly. But maybe if you're on a night out, you've got a few beers in you. Then
so you don't. So you haven't had that at all. You haven't, because the thing is, obviously, I think a lot of people, you'd be tempted if you're, a big guy, and and you've got some training. I think a lot of people think, I'll just beat everyone up, man. Anyone catch me, I'll fuck them up, man.
Well, there are a few people that obviously think like that, and I've met a few people like that. But I'd say most people that get to a decent level of any kind of martial art or combat sport are so okay with themselves and have that confidence and have that kind of you can't get to a good level without having discipline instilled in you by your teacher as well, by any kind of teacher in that, and you don't have to go and prove yourself, because you can do that in the gym, and it's a much more honourable and probably satisfying thing to prove yourself against someone who also knows what they're doing, rather than someone in a pub who doesn't. Because what's that proving? You're not proving anything. I trained for 5 years to knock someone out who hasn't ever trained anything. Is ridiculous. So you get the people that do fight are the people like football fans that get really drunk. Because I've worked in loads of bars, and my favourite that are actually, it's easy to say, but my favourite are the Millwall fans who love to sing just rubbish songs, get really drunk and start pushing each other, and they only do it in a big mob mentality. In fact, it was you that said the other day that it really wound you up when that mob mentality of people like singing on trains, and it really winds you up. This is because also that we are now approaching an age where we're not cool anymore. But like you said, you never see one guy walking down the road being like, Wembley! On his own. You don't do it, you don't get it.
A big group of, it was in, what's the one, South Kensington subway, train station. And there was maybe 10, 15 really posh boys singing Bread of Heaven as loud and aggressively as they could sing Bread of Heaven, right? And they were all, I don't know where they're from, some posh school around there. And it was like, there's no way that any of them would do that by themselves. It was this thing that, and it's like, I played it through my head. You can't approach a group. You can't say, guys, can you? I mean, it just wound me up so much.
There's a lot of stuff I think you wouldn't do when you're on your own as opposed to a group. I think you
masturbate. Sorry.
I only do that in a group.
Exactly.
If you watch a comedy film on your own, do you laugh out loud? If you watch it with a group of people, it's like social behaviour is.
I don't think I laugh at comedy films out loud. I don't know why. I don't. I have a weird
I do.
Reservation. Yeah.
I do.
That's true. I remember Jackass.
I used to cry.
Yeah. No, I remember going to the cinema anyway. It's a different thing. Yeah. After we saw Jackass the first time, we must have been 17 or 16, and we were going on a school trip the next day, so we were excited.
To Rome?
To Rome. The school. No, it was Madrid.
Oh, Madrid.
And we were with another friend, and we just seen the film. We were all excited, pumped up, wanting to do some crazy pranks. And the first thing he did that came out of the cinema was just chased after a car. There was no point. I mean, and he caught up to the car and was lost. Didn't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like when a dog catches a car. They chase after cars, and when the car stops, they don't know what to do. They can't, pick it up and bring it back.
That was a phase, though, wasn't it? Jackass and all kind of wanted to do stupid stuff. Well, Dirty Sanchez as well.
Do you know them?
Well, a lot of them are from Wales, and one of the guys.
They are all.
He's a couple. No, one of them from Devon. One of them's English.
They're all like Pritchard.
But they're all inbred, right?
Yeah, Pancho went to the same school as I did. He's a couple of years older than me.
Yeah. Do they have a plaque on the school? Or?
funnily enough, they don't.
A wing.
A mental wing for him.
This guy ate his own shit.
No. But look at him now.
Yeah.
It's done wonders.
Yeah.
Well, we've spoke about Jiu-jitsu quite a lot, and MMA, and then some tangents.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could talk about something that Laurence has been doing as well is your paleo diet.
My paleo diet. I thought you were going to pick up earthing mats.
No, I don't want to talk about earthing mats. We can talk about earthing mats briefly as you like.
That can be another time.
I don't know if you've ever met a combat-ready giant hippie, but that is essentially what Laurence is. So tell us about earthing mats.
I'm not going to do earthing mats because you've...
No, do it. It's fascinating.
You've pissed on my chips now.
No, it's fascinating. Tell us about earthing mats.
Well, the idea behind it is that because we walk around on artificial surfaces so much with rubber trainers, synthetic carpets, whatever it may be, concrete, you build.
My carpet's made of human hair in my house, but sorry.
Well, so that, you could. Well, after I explained it, you could be cool. You could be all right with it.
Yeah.
The idea is when you move, you build up kind of a static charge or a kind of a, I don't know whether it's a positive or negative electric charge in your body, and because you're not ever touching the earth, kind of just just raw ground, you never dissipate that charge back into the earth, and over time that just has kind of effect on kind of your stress, your sleep, your energy levels, etc. And it's supposed to help with loads of things like jet lag. Apparently a lot of the Tour de France cyclists
do drugs.
They do drugs. So it doesn't necessarily. It's a good thing, just because they do it. But they
allegedly,
they have earthen sleeping bags. So what you do is like.
Oh wow.
How does that work? Just plug it into the mains.
So it has, it's not. So that is exactly what you do. You actually do plug it into the mains because they've got the earth socket. And it's like a wire, and then there's like a thin wire mesh, I think, in this bag or mat or whatever it is that dissipates that charge for you. And I've used it for a while and hadn't for a couple of weeks, and then I started using it again on Monday or Sunday night for 4 or 5 nights, and it did notice a difference in my sleep and kind of getting into a better sleep. And so I don't know, is it bullshit? Is it a bit of a
placebo?
Placebo effect. There are, I've tried to look for research studies online, but it's all like sponsored by this company that builds earth and that, so it's all, that could be a little bit bullshit. It's one of those things though. I'd love to do a test actually comparing different things. You can get something called I think it's a MIO MIO sleep monitor that measures the quality of sleep. So when you're gonna that's the way. That's the way.
Just read a Tim Ferriss book and.
Well, that's what the MIO thing is. I got it from. But yeah, that's earthing mats. So I'm going to go and eat some mung bean salads and crow dreadlocks.
Yeah, so what part of your TP do you keep your earthing mat? No, but those things make sense. But then, in my head, I've never used an earthing mat, so surely I should be able to shoot lightning at will, because I just have so much static built up.
Well,
no, I know.
I think that was
a dream. That's the dream. What? So you found that it helped your sleep? You have had better sleep?
Yeah.
Are you combining that with certain products such as ZMA tablets?
Well, the ZMA stuff, they run out of the ZMA, and that's when I started using the earthing mat again, because the ZMA is really, really good for just putting you into a deep sleep, and I think really good for the recovery. Crazy ass dreams from it.
Yeah, so you were getting the crazy dreams.
And really just mental dreams. I used to think, because I studied psychology, and you study a lot about sleep and dreams, and one of the theories is that when you dream, it's organising your thoughts from the day. So the stuff you said, and I used to get that a lot actually. I could always pinpoint my dreams to something I'd said or something I'd thought throughout the day.
Yeah.
With the ZMA stuff, it's just absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah, I found that. To go back, ZMA is like some tablets of zinc,
magnesium,
and magnesium asparate, and some was it B16 or B12?
B16, is there vitamin B in that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's got vitamin B in it as well. All these things. So zinc is supposed to be very good for for sleep.
Zinc is the most anabolic of all the minerals, and the guy that developed it, Victor Conte, he's
helped a lot of athletes.
Yeah, helped a lot. He went to prison for it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he helped them so much that he went to prison. But he's a changed man now, and now he's it's like Catch Me If You Can. He got caught. He's done some time, and now he's been released, and now he's helping find
Yeah.
other people that are helping athletes.
Yeah. So he's the official stuff is by Snack. Is it the company SNAC? SNAC. So it's actually ZMA is copyrighted as that brand, because a lot of the stuff you get from like Holland and Barrett is bullshit. Because it's a different form of zinc your body doesn't absorb.
Yeah.
So yeah, the point he's going to make is, he's clearly seen what stuff does work, so he's put a lot of money into it. So I think I don't know, I haven't read it, probably
It's recovery time, and it helps you. It helps in the kind of sorting out of protein in your body.
Really.
And I find that if at the moment I've changed up my my leg sessions because I hurt my neck doing breathing squats, and so I've taken barbell squats out completely.
Yeah.
And started doing weighted Bulgarian split squats.
What the fuck?
So basically, it's like you could call them like elevated leg split squats or something.
Yeah.
So you have one leg behind you, a bench behind you, with one foot up on that bench.
Yeah.
And so you're squatting down, 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot on the back. It's difficult to explain. It's easy to have a look at Bulgarian split squats.
It's a lunge essentially with your back foot.
But it's a one-legged squat. So you're just taking one leg out of the equation, and so you can actually load up. You can get to the point where your one leg is squatting more than half of what you would normally squat.
Yeah, I get you.
And it takes away all of the possibilities of like bad form and stuff. So I mean, my form is good, but then I'm a personal trainer, so my form
It
better be good. And I take pride on. I've actually got. It's an odd thing to say, but I've got good squat form. I've got a good squat. But but it's for a lot of people. They might not be anatomically designed to squat very well.
Blokes are not anatomically designed.
Yeah. Well, if you've got long legs, if you've got long like shins, if that bone is long, then it's going to be very difficult for you not to have your knee go over the line of the toe. Or some people have really tight calves, which means that they just physically cannot get very low into their squat, so they might even not be able to get to parallel.
Have you been to Southeast Asia?
No.
There is a point to this.
No.
If you ever go to Southeast Asia, everyone can squat.
That's how they sit. Yeah.
So I always wonder if you see how you never see a kid with bad posture. If you ever look, you never see a kid with bad posture.
No, I was teaching.
You see how flexible they are, and they can squat down no problem. I wonder if in the Western world you lose that.
Yeah, totally.
Because we don't sit down to shit.
Yeah.
It's much better, but as well, by the way, I lived in China for a few years.
Well, I didn't know. I sent you the Gracie way of pooping, didn't I? In the position of squatting, your colon is more lined up.
I know all about it.
With your rectum, and it's actually easier. So probably we do lose that. And teaching someone how to squat properly is difficult for a while. I know Tom's giggling, but I mean,
how you go?
You just need it.
Yeah. Well, I'm single, so that's not well. But I mean, there are good ways of doing it. But if you don't have a trainer with you or someone to spot you or something like that, then I would suggest doing Bulgarian split squats, and you get such a bigger stretch on the muscle that. I've got for my size and pound for pound, my legs are pretty good. They're strong, and then I'm used to squatting, and I squat full range of motion most of the time, unless I'm doing the heaviest. And beginning of this week, I swapped to Bulgarian split squats, and I couldn't walk. It was like I'd never squatted before,
really?
And I couldn't walk for like a couple of days. And I went and got some more ZMA tablets, and almost instantly after taking, a batch before I went to bed, I woke up and I felt 100 times better, and I very much doubt that the speed of the recovery would have been that had I not have had ZMA tablets.
Yeah, because the sleep is just so important.
It gives you a really deep sleep, and it also really encourages.
Well, I heard someone say that you miss or get one night of sleep that's kind of disturbed. You should get, say, 4 hours sleep, and the next day the impact on your insulin levels in your body can make you equivalent to a diabetic.
Really?
Yeah, in terms of how your body processes everything. So just that one night missed sleep is just like huge. So I really shit myself.
In what way does it? I mean, as in low insulin.
I think it's, well, you know, do you know what?
Yeah, speculation.
Yeah, you're getting too technical for me now. But the whole idea is that I think it's because of the stress on your body. Then, you know, it's stress. You need fucks up your insulin levels.
I think it's more to do with like central nervous system. I find if I get a really bad night's sleep, my whole body is just fatigued still, and that's just because you haven't had that reset and let your central. It's like overtraining. You know, we've all done it.
Yeah.
We've all. You know, I've had a week where I've trained 6 days in a row, and on that 7th day, your body is absolutely freaking out and it needs rest, and you shouldn't train 6 days in a row, but you need that rest
this week.
And do you know what? And you look awful.
Yeah, thanks. But I think it's what someone said. It's not overtraining; it's under resting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I started doing Pilates this week, and that kind of stuff, and I've got a foam roller at home and like rubber bands where you can wrap them under your joints to move your elbow, that kind of stuff. So that
what's that for?
So you get when you fight jiu-jitsu, or as you do any kind of weights, you can get problems, you know, kind of with your elbows.
Yeah,
it's a joint intensive martial art.
It's a really joint intensive martial art. And what you do is I've got like it's a bicycle in a tube.
Yeah.
So cut it in half and then split it down the middle, just like a big band.
Yeah.
And then you wrap it around the elbow, so you go about.
He's doing a heroin.
Just like you're gonna take some smack.
The universal symbol for heroin. Yeah.
So you knock up the veins.
Yeah.
You go like 3 inches above and 3 inches below the elbow, and kind of, you know, cover that. Then, you know, from top to bottom.
Yeah. It's a great relaxant as well.
Yeah, the heroin. That could help with the recovery.
Yeah.
So what you do is you move the elbow, then you force it to as much range of motion as you can when you've got that band on.
Yeah. And
it forces all the blood out, and then fresh blood kind of pumps in.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what a sports massage does, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they breaks up any scar tissue, so it's obviously not going to be as good as someone can get in there and a physiotherapist manipulating it, but it's one of those things you can just do a couple of times a week. It takes 2 minutes at home, and you can just instantly feel kind of that range of motion. You can do it on other joints as well, so that really, really helps. And like the foam roller stuff, I was getting problems in my knee from cycling, and, you know, back and forth to work every day, and just massaging that out just kind of really helps loosen stuff up.
I have just started working in a new gym, and they've got, you know, a load of different types of foam roller, and I found myself using a foam roller for about half an hour a day every day.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's one of those things that it's painful when you do it, but it's that nice pain. You know that it's going to alleviate any kind of awkwardness or stiffness
On the calves.
Calves and lats. Lats, I'd find.
How do you do the lats?
I will show you later. But there's no, you know, it's difficult to explain.
Well, I've also got a lacrosse ball for the
shoulders
and the glutes.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really hard to do the hamstrings on there though.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if there's enough pressure to kind of get in and do the hamstrings.
It's funny you should say glutes, because I train quite a few women, and obviously women want legs, bums and hums kind of shaping and stuff like that. And so I've with the Bulgarian split squats, which are one of the best things for women if any women are looking to get good legs, because it forces you to stretch the muscle whilst you're working it out as well. Really, really good for hamstrings and your quads.
How high is you put your leg up?
About 18 inches. That's a normal kind of workout bench.
Yeah.
So anyone that you see doing free weights in the bench section, put your foot up against one of those. And it's laces down. So the bench is behind you, laces down with the foot.
So you're taking all the strength out of the back leg as well.
Yeah, you're not using the back leg. You're just supporting it up on something, and it's basically like doing leg press with one leg.
And you hold 2 dumbbells?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Or you can use the bar if you want, but that kind of almost makes it
defeats the object.
Yeah,
why you're
defeats
not
the
doing
object.
squats.
Why does it defeat the object?
Well, because having a bar across your back is something that a lot of people don't really like. And also, if you're going to have the bar on your back, you might as well go and squat.
Yeah.
In a regular squat.
It scares me a little bit, the bar.
Yeah.
Well, because I doing squats the other day, and I'm getting to a point where my legs are not going, but after like 2 or 3 reps, I can feel the bar kind of riding into my spine and kind of pushing me forward because of the form. And I feel like my form is stopping me progressing, as opposed to that.
Well, I know a great personal trainer who can
Really?
look at your form. I find that because I've got how flexible are your shoulders, so you're pretty flexible there. So you can hold it further down. So I don't actually rest the bar on my neck.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do that when they start because they start with a low weight, and it's not putting a lot of pressure on their spine.
Yeah.
But when you get to high weights, so if you're trying to squat like 1.5 times your body weight, regardless of what your body weight is, that's going to be a lot for especially your back to take if you're resting it on your back.
Rest it?
So you need to take a lot of the pressure off by actually supporting it with your arms, your hands and your arms. Okay, are supporting it, and you have it below the shoulder.
I feel like I drop it though.
But that is also what hurt my neck, because I was doing the breathing squats. So that, which is 20 squats with about 80% of your 5 rep max.
I thought it was your body weight.
No, 80% of your 5 rep max.
Okay.
And you try and do 20 squats without racking it.
Yeah.
You can take as long as you want with those squats, but you've always got it on you. And it just started it was just pushing down on that last squat. It was just falling down my back a little bit, and it was really forcing my arms down, and it just pulled something in my neck, which has hurt for the last.
Yeah, I wonder how natural that is as a movement for your body to be taking that much stress. And I think I was watching, flicking through one of the sports channels, and it was World's Strongest Man, and the guy was deadlifting, I think, about 450 kilos, like it was nobody's business. And the pressure that's going to be putting on your spine.
But they must be like ballerinas. When they get older, they're just wheelchair bound almost.
Ballerinas like that then? I thought.
Yeah. Gymnasts are the worst. Gymnasts.
Really?
Yeah. Gymnasts' spines. They force. There's something. So a lot of female athletes will develop an anterior tilt in their pelvis.
Yeah.
Which so when a gymnast completes whatever they've done, and they do the kind of the stand up, they stand and they kind of.
I can't remember this pose, finish pose. I can't remember.
Like the finishing pose. Okay,
it's cool. And if you used to do gymnastics.
If you look at their back, it's a very arched back, and their bum comes out a little bit like a duck's bum. Yeah. So it's called lordosis. So it's a curvature of the spine at the base of the spine going in is a lordosis, and you'll see that to do that, you almost face your pelvis down.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So you tilt your pelvis down.
Okay, I get you.
And so that is an anterior tilt.
Yeah.
In the pelvic kind of makeup there.
Yeah.
And that's bad. Like that's you don't want that, and it's very pronounced in gymnasts because of that way of standing, way of walking around. It seems like good posture, but in fact it's not.
What about male gymnasts? 'Cause
they don't. Well,
if they don't do the floor routine,
just their joints.
But they don't. I mean,
really.
Yeah, man. Seriously, I watched a big thing about them. But ballerinas, it's their feet.
Yeah.
Their feet are destroyed. They get whatever 8 blisters a week, or whatever. Their toes are all.
They have like rheumatism in
like
their feet.
Chinese. It look like people who've done Chinese foot binding.
I need to take a look at this.
It's all of them, and
it's terrifying.
But that's interesting, because I would have thought that gymnasts, You've got gymnastic rings. I've got gymnastic rings, and do those exercises. They just feel so much more natural, a lot of those exercises, and feel a lot stronger than doing a bench press, for example.
I think it's repetition.
Repetition in anything for a human will wear,
It's that, and those competitions are so intense, or whatever, that, I mean, if anybody's doing, probably if you just do gym or ballet by yourself, you're probably fine. It's probably good for you.
And they're not doing it really in a slow controlled movement, are they? They're doing it like really hammering it.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't... it's difficult to say, because I'm sure there are gymnasts out there that have got fantastic posture for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Or that haven't been affected by.
I'm just talking about Olympics, or these people that have done it at the super professional level.
Oh,
that's
dear
what
Lord.
I mean.
Are you looking at ballet? So Laurence is just with his phone is looking at pictures of ballerinas' feet, which
no, they have operations all the time on
Yeah.
their feet. They have to get all their corns chopped off, and their feet are
disgusting.
destroyed.
Well, that's one of the not one of the reasons why I stopped playing rugby. I used to think though.
What, your ears? You're worried
No,
about?
oh well, if he was worried about his ears, he's gone into a grappling sport that would also.
True, yeah.
Do you know what? Touch wood though, I've always been quite lucky.
You haven't got
You have
broken
beautiful
nose.
ears.
Yeah, have I broken my nose? I don't know. Maybe, but I never really, because I played in the forwards as well, and so you're in the scrum, and I wore a scrum cap for a bit, but not for long, and my ears didn't really react to it. And the point I'm trying to make is, I wasn't a decision when I stopped playing rugby. Now I look back on it, you hit, I'm 30 now, if I hit 35, 36, maybe 40, you can still be playing. The toll that takes on your body over the long run, it's not achievable. I was watching a video clip the other day of some red belt grandmaster jiu-jitsu guy. I can't remember his name, it's the first time I've ever seen him. He must have been in his 80s. I swear, and he was fighting with a guy who's like, I think he might be a world champion in his 30s, and clearly the younger guy's not going for it, because that strength thing is obviously going to be there. But he's still rolling really fluidly, and he's got the technique. And I think
Helio Gracie.
Yeah, he died when he was
153. Was it? It was about that.
Something like that.
He used to sleep in a bath of olive oil. I've made all that.
Well, he did. He died when he was 96, and was still doing seminars when he was 95.
Yeah.
And if you think of the longevity of it, I'm not going to be able to compete forever, but still, some guys compete in the Masters, and I've seen you're surprising. The average age in our gym has got to be like mid-30s.
Yeah.
For the guys.
Midlife crisis. That's what all that is.
Yeah, probably. So I think what you're going to get out of it in the long run, but surely all kind of sports eventually have.
It's just the intent. There comes a level where beyond that is bad for you. Obviously, sport is healthy; it's good for you. But after a certain point, it's the pressure, the strain, or whatever. Being active and doing these things is really good for you. But let's say semi-professional, you're probably going to really be really healthy when you get to top level. Too long. Well, like NFL is obviously a good example where they're all.
Well, it's impact sports, and it's impact sports that when people were less educated, they thought that
people that play American football are thick. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. Not at all. What I'm saying is when those sports were first kind of made. You'd assume that by wearing headgear and shoulder gear that you are protecting yourselves. Well, what's actually happened in a sport like that is that now they run at each other with their heads down, and they run head first, and they're taking hit after hit after hit. But the impact of the hit is greater. And what happens is that it's spread across the whole of the body or the whole of the head rather than in one point, so that they can take that over and over again. So they're getting hit by the same force, but the impact is spread across the whole of the skull, which actually is much, much worse for you. And it's the same with boxing gloves.
Yeah, exactly what I heard.
It's the brain rattling.
Bare knuckle is safer than.
So the MMA gloves, which are what are they like,
mitts,
3 ounce or 6 ounce or something like that. Little MMA gloves. You get hit by one of them. Yeah, some up there. What's up? Just got some there. If you get hit by one of them, you're going out. You're getting knocked out. But it's the same force. If not, a professional boxer will probably hit with more force
definitely more.
than 95% of professional MMA fighters, but it's spread across the whole of the skull. So you're getting
repeated, it's repeated
over and over again.
Yeah, the initial impact.
But it's the same impact. It's the same force, or greater.
Another example of that is running is trainers as well. When you run in trainers, you actually put more force through your legs and your knees and your ankles because your body is subconsciously trying to make contact with the ground, as opposed to when you run bare feet. You actually your body naturally uses its own shock absorbers and you don't hit the ground as hard.
A woman, I was giving out some free health checks at my gym yesterday. And
mammograms.
And you were doctor now.
Well, no, it was just it was just things like blood pressure and stuff like that. And she started to talk to me about how her knees were really hurting and her legs are really hurting and really tight. And she's running the London Marathon, which from this point is a week away. And she was really worried, and her knee was really hurting and her hips were hurting. And so the first thing I said was, well, I bet all the running you've been doing is on concrete. I bet you're running, because I know a few people that are training for it, and they're doing things on every Sunday for the last maybe month or two, are trying to run between 10 to 15 miles on a Sunday, every Sunday, and it's all on concrete. And their way of thinking, and it's amazing that the people that arrange the marathon, and the big so Virgin Money and so on, that you can go and put yourself in to raise the money. That's how you get into the marathon and stuff. And their tips, they've got tips pages of what other marathon runners might have said worked for them, and no one has said anything about training rigorously, like the bad things about training rigorously of running on concrete. And I've actually had multiple people coming up to me saying that their knees are hurting and they're getting all these injuries to run this 26-mile race.
So how should they run? What should they run?
Grass. Run on grass. There's so much less impact, and not everyone wants to run with the Vibrams.
I might have to disagree with you on that.
Yeah,
because I think if back in the day when we were running around and hunting gazelles or wherever it was, that's where the first humans were. In Africa. If you've ever been on a rock hard, dry ground, that's about as hard as concrete.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist that much in central London.
What I'm saying is it the running on the concrete that's going to have caused all the problems, whereas if you're running on rock hard dry ground,
it's going to give is that ground's still going to give
maybe I think a lot of it though is,
but this woman works in an office. She's training for the marathon, which you can put your body, if you are of reasonable health or above, you can train to do most things, but her body will not be the same as someone since they could run, has had to run and hunt and so when I know that you like going back to comparing things like paleo and what we used to do and stuff like that, and I do as well, and things like nutrition that can stick because we haven't really evolved from then. But the strength of someone's body and the way in which that they are used to moving, hers will not be the same as someone who has always run on hard ground and has always done that. And also, those people would not have lived very long.
Some of them would. That human life, that's a fallacy.
Is that
life expectancy
Okay.
is quite good in some. You have people living to 70 quite commonly. And
but you could get them to also, if you're saying that, then also make them use their run in a proper way, which you and I both do.
What would you suggest for that?
Kind of thing?
What would you say, barefoot?
I'm training for Tough Mudder, which is it's a half-mile assault course essentially, half marathon assault course, and to read in Tim Ferriss's book 4 Hour Body, he's trained to go from running a 5k to a 50k ultra marathon, and he interviews a couple of ultra marathon runners. The guys that do 100.
What do you say,
ultra marathon?
And these guys do 100 miles.
And cross desert stuff.
Crazy stuff. When they train, they very rarely do long distance runs. A lot of it is about building up really good leg strength, so you've got the shock absorbers, and then doing high intensity interval sprints of 200, 400, 800 meter repeats.
And what's the idea behind that?
So the idea behind it is it builds up what's called your lactic threshold. So that's when you get tired and you feel that burn, that's the lactic acid. Your body can't get rid of it.
And to those people that do that, they have there's that guy that is supposed to be able to run. He could run at 7 miles an hour indefinitely. There's some guy that did 100. He did ultra marathons every day or whatever for.
Yeah,
I can't remember he's like shown up as a superhuman or whatever.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So people who have that, they have that. I
think it could be Dean Kineses. I think is one of the guys.
I can't remember about Cracked. But he's someone that he has that he can't. His body just doesn't get damaged in the same way.
Yeah. Well, the idea of this kind of training is those short burst, high intensity runs. You're running a hell of a lot faster than if you just went out for a jog. Yeah. And you just get your body used to moving at a faster speed. So the level of running, the amount of damage you put in your body under is far, far less. But then when you go to do the longer run, because your body is used to operating at such a higher intensity, even though you're running a much further distance, you do it at a slower pace, and your body's able to process the lactic acid, and you've got the good shock absorbers because of the leg strength. It allows you to do those longer distance runs. And this guy claims to be able to train anyone that can run 3 miles in 24 minutes, which is it's not easy, but
8 miles.
Most people could achieve that, I think, if they're in half decent shape. If you can do that, if you've got that as a baseline, he reckons he can train them up to run an ultra marathon or 50 k's within 12 weeks. And part of that is as well the running technique as well, and getting people just less of the heel strike in that it's so common because you've got
ball of the feet.
I think ball of the feet or kind of mid-sole rather than landing on the heel.
Well, that's like if you look at here's some Mythbusters.
Yeah.
So if you look at all of the running trainers that are marketed by famous runners or sports stars, and then you look at the footwear they actually use when they run, they're two very different things. So look at Usain Bolt's what he runs in when he's breaking these records, and they are ultra thin, almost flat trainers. And they have all learned obviously how to run properly, and they all run on the middle to ball of their foot.
Tools for a sprinter though. Tools for a sprinter.
But there's none of this shock absorption, air bubble, big heel. It's a really odd thing that's what's marketed to the average weekend runner, but no professional runners will wear those things because they're not that they're not good for you.
And it's the idea that it's that short-term thing. I'm sure when you put those shoes on, bet they feel great for a little while. You know what I mean? But they feel fantastic. You go to a shoe shop and try on.
I walk around in them now because for a long time I was worried about when you're younger and there's that image, and I was wearing like cool shoes or and like flat shoes, trying to look really cool. And now I've just gone for comfort. And walking around, I wear these, running trainers, and my feet are super comfy. But I don't run in them. I run in the 5-finger Vibrams that simulate.
I call them Vibrams.
Vibrams.
Yeah. They creep
it
me
doesn't
out.
matter,
They creep you out.
I love them. I love them.
best.
And this goes back to when I see people trying to squat in the gym and they're wearing these sports trainers or whatever. They're wearing running trainers. Everyone wears running trainers in the gym, but no one runs. And because it's got that elevated heel, it's more difficult not to go up on your toes, which is the worst thing, which is a very bad thing to do when squatting. So I'd get people to take off their shoes and that you squat barefoot and stuff like that. Yeah, and that. But then,
Well, it's very similar to if you put a big thick glove on your hand and you try to do anything that. Yeah.
How did you know I was going to go there?
It's because that's the first place you.
What Jack's trying to say is you have a wank with a big thick glove.
It's like a stranger.
The stranger.
I prefer just the surgical glove.
I just sit on my hand until it's dead.
If you put a big thick glove on, you try to do anything that involves any kind of dexterity, you lose that sensitivity in your hands, and it's the same thing with your feet. You put a big thick shoe on there, you lose that feel of your feet, and naturally kind of adjust as you're moving and walking around. It's all not as a conscious thing as with your hands. It has an impact, and what a lot of people don't realise is that the running trainer, or the modern running trainer, has only been around for like 50 years, since the 60s. And the way it came about is Bowerman, I think, is the guy that created the Nike trainer. He was in New Zealand for some reason, and there was a guy there that was helping heart surgery patients recover they were going jogging, so just kind of moderate exercise. And then he thought, maybe there's an idea in here. So he went back to America, and literally with a waffle iron in his basement started creating all these different kind of trainers with a different sole and stuff. And his thinking was that if we can put a cushioned heel, you can therefore take a longer stride by landing on your heel. But if you think about it, if you run with your heel extended and it hits the floor, all that force is going back into your body. If your feet land underneath you on the midsole of the ball of the foot, you're kind of rolling off it, and you far less kind of pressure through the legs.
There are muscles in your feet that these shoes make obsolete, and those muscles are there for shock absorption. And so what happens is, the worst one is basketball players' shoes, high tops, are even worse, because they remove the muscles in the foot, the top of the foot that that help roll the foot. They then also take out a lot of movement from your ankle. And so the first part of shock, like the first place that actually absorbs shock, is then your knee.
We didn't talk about, what's that guy Wade, who's the guy that fucked his leg up. Did you see that?
No.
The March Madness thing.
It looks like a compound, total compound fracture.
Oh, is
Leg
this
split.
knee? Okay, so the only thing I've seen of this is a funny meme where so it looks like
No,
so his
I've seen it. I was watching.
So
I was actually watching the game.
the bone has a picture of Rafiki holding Simba, because it looks like.
I've seen two people snap their legs playing rugby. One guy snapped his ankle, and the other guy snapped the leg, and the bone was sticking out in the shin. The guy that snapped his leg, it's a rugby match. Yes, we're all meant to be very kind of manly, guys, and he just kind of went over. And I was about 6 feet away when it happened, and he kind of looked at it, and everyone just went, turned round and walked away. And it's fucking horrible. And that guy that snapped his toe, or actually dislocated his toe in Jiu-jitsu.
I've still got that photo.
And you can imagine, right? You're lying on the floor, and he's fucked his toe. We kind of keeping him on the floor, not allowed him to look at it. The paramedic comes down the stairs.
That is the most outrageous.
So I'm just showing Jack the picture now. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
His name is Kevin Ware. If you want to check that out, if you haven't seen it, it is brutal.
What sport was it?
Basketball.
It's just basketball.
It was basketball, and Kevin Ware.
About 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago.
Ware.
Yeah, he's fine now. There's pictures of his recovery. It looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen the South Park episode where Kyle he becomes
has a negroplasty.
He does a negroplasty, and he during the game his leg snaps. It looks like that. It's shocking.
Yeah, and that's another thing I was going to say about the guy that snapped his toe. The reaction of the paramedic.
How does that happen, by the way? I'm really sorry to interrupt, but how does he do? I mean, how is it possible to?
That's a freak thing. Like that, Otherwise, you'd see a lot. You'd see a lot more of it. It's just.
You just wait. Your weight just the weight of your foot and your body. You're just kind of not agreeing with each other.
Because the idea that you can just suddenly jump in a way that you can just shear your calf bone straight through your.
Scary, man. That's horrible.
Yeah, and when you see those kickboxing fights, MMA fights, and somebody's leg just turns to jelly in the middle of the game.
It's when someone tries to stand.
And it looks like they've planted some explosive in their leg, and or their leg just pops. I can't. Yeah, it's the idea that you can do that any time close.
It's but the toe thing that you were talking about. That guy who. I just want to try and explain.
Yeah.
Using the power of speech.
Yeah.
How odd it looked. So say you're having a look at your foot from, so you're
Top
looking
down,
down
right,
at your
yeah.
foot, okay, and your big toe. Now take that toe and twist it.
I've seen,
Twist it to the left twice, so it's almost it's twisted off, but it's still got the tiniest bit of like flesh like holding it on.
Well, you just dislocated the joint.
But it pulled, and so I sent that. So I went and had a training session with Taff, and I got shown. I met the bloke who that had happened to, and he showed me. It was like, oh, what do you think of this? And I'm not squeamish really, so I was like, oh, excellent, mate. Can you send that to me actually? And he was like, oh, why do you want that? I was like, I'm going to send it to my girlfriend at the time, and tell her that this is what's happened on my first day of jiu-jitsu. And I just didn't think I didn't think it wouldn't be hilarious. And I instantly got a phone call of oh my God, what's going on? And some like, you forget that people care about you, and that actually is quite a horrendous looking thing to have happened. And it just wasn't funny.
It looks like it's like a when you have like a perforation on like a box of sweets or something. It looks like somebody's just torn along the perforated line and left a little bit dangling up at the end.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's, he was training.
Wasn't even broken.
No.
So what wasn't even broken, they just kind of pushed it back on. I don't even think I don't even think he had stitches.
Glue, super glue.
I don't know. No stitches.
But he was training in like a couple of weeks, wasn't it?
2 weeks. He had got to put some. He had a pair of wrestling boots. Chuck those on for a couple of months.
What about then? So what about boxing? Boxing shoes? Because they look like to me that they perform the same function as
they are, but they're less. They're just like material, very thin material. So you've got all the natural movement. Whereas the high tops, I don't know what. Like some idiot or some marketing guy has made stuff up, and this happens in sport.
It happens everything. It happens in HDMI cables is a great example. And you get $2,000 HDMI cable. They're binary. They're digital. They're on or off. You cannot get any difference in quality.
£2,000.
Yeah. Monster. They'll fuck you up the arse if they can. There's no difference in any HDMI cable. You can get one for what, £1, £2 on Amazon. They're on or off. That's it. They're digital signals. It's not analog. It's not like you can buy high performance audio cables. That's fine.
That are in like vacuums, so that nothing's touching the outside.
Maybe
and stuff like
you
that.
can tell the difference. Maybe HDMI, it's impossible. And if you read the reviews of those things, or like the what do you call it, the blurb, they can convince you that it's worth it. Crafted by virgins or whatever. But so they
Lucozade is another one.
For more, that was going to be on my Mythbusters as well. But like they said, so some guy has said for extra ankle support, tie this really tight around your ankle so there's no movement. That person clearly had no idea how support and shock absorption was, and if they did, they're an arsehole for making that up to try and sell.
All the evils in the world come from advertising. Body image, all of these things, myth fallacies, all of these things, are lifestyles.
It's only been very recently that, coming to Lucozade now, that Lucozade has been moved in if you go to Sainsbury's, and I think it was because of the Horizons that was on British TV.
Just sugar.
Sugar. It was.
Does it help with hangovers? That's what I'm.
Because it's sugar. Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, and salts, right?
Sugar and salts.
Do you know what I do? I get
for.
sea salt, half a litre of orange juice.
Yeah.
Like good orange juice, half a litre of water, and then the sea salt in it. Oh, that's it pretty much.
I like to use jizz.
For the salt.
And just
salt
the taste. Just not.
So I mean, we almost get to a good kind of conversation in the sporting world, and then Tom brings us back to
the fishing rod, reel it back to the toilet.
Bit of jizz in your drink, sir.
Yeah, well, it's
I bet it does help though.
I go for ramen noodles. Jizz would go quite later. Jizz would go quite well in there, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, it might be in there. You don't know. Just think about that while you're having your meal tonight. Because how would you tell?
I think it's like it'd be like carbonara. When they put a raw egg in it and then mix it up. Be like that. Slightly because it would cook it. Just the heat of the heat of the spaghetti.
Like Baileys with lime juice in it, and they just curd.
Oh, what was that? That was
monkey brain.
It was a brain hemorrhage.
You should put it in a pint of Guinness.
That was the first thing I drank when we went out for my 21st birthday at Digby Halls in Leicester, and it was about 6 p.m. and I drank that and I threw up, and then I didn't throw up for the rest of the night. But it was just so disgusting. It was it's lime and Bailey's.
I can remember someone saying Bailey's and Lucasade is one that always stuck in my head. Bailey's and the really orange glucosey.
Yeah, originally.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I know, but lime and Bailey's congeals like almost
You've never done
instantly,
it?
solidly,
No,
to the point where if someone had it in a shot glass, if they drank, most of it or tried to throw some of it away, what was left in that shot glass, if you put it in the dishwasher, it would not come out. So you put the dishwasher and you come out and it'd
Just
still be
like
stuff
this.
there. So that is in your body. That was
chew it. If you put it in the bottom of a pint, you literally
so
have to
horrible.
chew it.
It's the stuff that the stuff that we used to drink when we were like kids is just, I don't understand it. Like, if I'd go to a bar now, I want a delicious drink. I'd like
tasty beverage.
Sip Smith's gin with like some nice Indian tonic water.
Ale is what people. I can still don't get my head around ale.
No.
I like a good ale.
Tastes like.
Do you know what ale I like?
I've got a beard now as well. So yeah.
Do you know what? I like ale from the Broccoli Brewing Company.
Broccoli.
Where can people buy that, Jack?
Well, there are certain pubs in the local southeast London area. Look for the Broccoli Brewing Companies. They've got a delicious, a delicious pale ale and a delicious golden ale.
Why haven't we got you any here today?
Well, because we only sell it by the.
What do you mean we?
It's sorry, it's a family business. It's actually very, very popular. It's only in large casks at the moment, but we'll be doing party-sized casks.
Why is that a problem?
We will be having a keg party soon. Don't you worry.
I've got red Solo cups as well.
What? Sweet. There we go. What we're doing is we're waiting for summer to begin halfway through April. Waiting for spring to begin.
There. As we're looking out it's a brown sky basically hovering over London. Yeah.
Well, the worst thing I've ever seen anyone drink is.
This is going under the nutrition side of this podcast because this is essentially a health and fitness podcast and jiu-jitsu.
Like playing rugby, you all kind of
nice.
You all
linked into a sport.
It's linked to a sport, yeah. So it's all part of the rehydration process after a game where everyone knows rugby for you drink loads and you're going to get your cock out and any kind of given opportunity.
What?
What do you mean?
But nudity?
But moving on from that.
No, we're coming straight back to that, Laurence.
We were doing, I think it was at university, and someone was down in some pint, and we had a big 4-pint pitcher, and he threw up.
Yeah.
And he threw up in, and this picture, I swear to God.
Was this at the Loaded Dog?
It was, yeah.
Because I worked there and I saw it.
Yeah.
And
so it looked, and this is like the guy's eating, so it was half like, I think, the lager or snake bite, and then just chunder in this big 4-pint pitcher.
I like the Welsh.
Everything's a song.
Chanda.
So anyway, he had this picture of Chanda, and this one guy, this fresher, stepped up and said, "I'll tell you what, everyone give me £1." Well,
this fresher was in my halls. I knew this fresher.
Giddings.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he goes, right, everyone goes, right, we've got £1, so about 20 quid or whatever.
A paltry amount of money.
As a student in Leicester, that'll get you
a house,
entrance to the Union,
it's
4 pints of snake bait.
That's a month. That's half a month's rent. Really? 20 quid? I was paying like £46 a month or something. No, not a month, a week. It was a week. Yeah, it was a week. £46 a week and we had a spare room.
Yeah, that's cheap. Anyway, so he just rocks up, pours a pint of this, and it's really thick. It's not watery. It's not watery.
It's not. It's got the dude's dinner in it as well. You know?
It's got sweet corn in there. All six has sweet corn in there. Yeah. So he just steps up and knocks back this pint. It's like as thick as soup. Yeah. It looks like chicken soup almost, and he just
had chicken soup.
He just knocks it back, and he kept it down, and you could see him. He's sweating, and his face is red, and he's just like
erect.
Oh, it's horrible. It's just the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I know a worse one actually.
Yeah. Save that for next week.
Yeah.
I'm
on a roll. Do it. Do it.
So apparently, at one university, one of the initiations is there's 4 freshers. They line up and there's a pint behind each one, and they just go 3, 2, 1, go, and you got to turn around and neck the pint without looking at it. And apparently, one of the pints is a turd.
Neck it dead.
Can you
Because when I say sudge, I think of just a solid,
Yeah.
like, you know, a one piece, you know.
Look,
I think it would be, yeah, because otherwise you'd be...
How you neck that? Just
I-
slide.
No, I think the joke is that you just turn around, you grab it, and it just hits you in the face, you know, or like
Oh,
in the mouth.
It hits the back of the throat and it sticks out.
I remember talking to a few people because of, you know, I knew Laurence and I worked with Laurence, and the bar that we worked in at university was the bar that sponsored a lot of the sports teams, so the rugby being the main one, and they would do hilarious things like try and pass me pints of piss and say, mate, something's wrong with this, taste it. And it was, but I had a get out of jail free card, so I mean I was not sporty. I was sporting very tight jeans and, you know, an awesome haircut, and I was way more into looking cool than sport and health and fitness, and I did that very well, but I was quite effeminate, you know, as well.
The first time I met you, I was working behind the bar, and you'd kind of joined the pub, like in between me being away, and you go, yeah, I'm Jack, I work here. He had some kind of like trilby hat on, a big curly kind of man perm, and I think an Arab scarf as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this fucking tool?
That's mainly what people think when they first meet me, but then they love me. They learn to love me. But my get out of jail free card was the fact that Laurence, I think, was either the captain of the rugby team or used to be. Yeah. And you were one of the old boys as well by then.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was always quite funny that I could, you know, tell these huge men to just fuck off, and they didn't really do anything, although all of them really wanted to, I think. And I remember getting a lot of dodgy looks from a lot of the rugby boys because I was just rude. But they were ruder. They were trying to make me drink piss. So, you know.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah, right. But one of my favourite stories about rugby initiation was that it would be, so the freshers would have to lie on the floor, and then two, like, naked from the waist down, but actually completely naked, old boys, would stand butt cheek to butt cheek, you know, like bum to bum, or almost like bent at an angle, and so they would pour a beer down the back of each of the old boys, and it would run and trickle down their butt cracks, and the fresher would be on the floor at the bottom and have to drink that as it like a waterfall, you know, out of the bum cracks of beer into their mouth. This is why I didn't do sport in uni. Not
I
because I was
cannot
bad at it.
imagine if you were one of the boys having the beer trickling down your back, and you had
Totally straight.
and you had a person and you had a person beneath you with the mouth agape. I could not resist the temptation to defecate. There's no way that would... I could not do that.
Apparently there's a bar in Thailand where a woman will lie on the floor, and they say if you can crouch down and shit on her, then you win money or whatever. But apparently because of the nerves and the way you crouch and stuff,
I'm all over that, mate. No way. I'd shit on demand.
Apparently no one would ever do it. This could be like one of those urban
I'm
myths.
sure it is because they lose money, mate.
But
Not everyone's like you, Tom.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
You're 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Apparently one guy he took laxatives. He goes, fuck it, I'm going to take laxatives, and went in and did it and shat all over this girl, and then they freaked out. It's kind of like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah.
You know, it's not as though you can have run up unexpectedly in front of shit. Again, probably an urban myth.
But quickly, I just was saying, and I think I was talking about this the other day, Jack. I don't understand when people get a full cavity body search. I just like to shit. As soon as they're getting that finger inside, just go. I'm already. They're invading me. Yeah. That's what you expect to find then. Give them a gold mine. Okay, we wandered off topic.
Yeah, this podcast is essentially supposed to be up on, you know, our sports blogs, our websites that are fully about nutrition and sport and health.
It does wander into the body processes.
It has gone off topic a lot.
Let's be fair though, we haven't even got a name for the podcast.
This is the first one though, and I think that we can
technically the second because we had to.
No, this is just
the same one. Okay.
Yeah,
but what's nice is I think we should endeavour to try and have a section where we are describing something to do with the industry, and we're serious about it, and then I think we can also I like this. I like this kind of format, but I also want it to be quite informative. We've had a little bit of
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, which will always be part of this podcast because I love jiu-jitsu.
I'm addicted.
He's addicted to jiu-jitsu, and it is a sport.
This is a matter of conversation.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
And I think we'll learn as we go. And you know what you.
I'm going to have some guests on after the marathon. We're going to talk to some marathon runners, see how they found the training. See how they found the training, and you know what they did nutrition wise, training wise, how they actually found the marathon. I'm sure we're going to have a couple of black belts throughout the time that we're here talking about jiu-jitsu, and the way that the lifestyle behind jiu-jitsu, because it's not just the sport. A lot of people pick up quite a large part of the lifestyle that goes behind the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But we've also, you know, we're gonna keep it light as well. We've got the comedy factor.
Yeah, I imagine it will come back very regularly to the central themes of defecation and, you know, sex on that.
I think. I mean, it's been
a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful time. We'll have this up, and we might clean it up a little bit. I don't know.
It's hard. Yeah, sure. All right. Well, wonderful. Bye bye.
See you later.